Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podium Hilton Silberg, former president of JNF Hamilton and 2009 Negev Dinner honoree.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and honored guests. I've already lost my voice. I've been talking to too many people outside. I'm accused of that quite often, but it'll come back. So welcome to Levine Station and the 2017 Negev Dinner. This is our 65th Negev Dinner in Hamilton. Before we begin, yeah, I think so too. Before we begin, if everybody could turn off their phones and their ringers. That includes my wife and her Facebook. Could we turn it off, please? Thank you. Okay, so tonight, this dinner pays tribute to three distinguished individuals. We're paying tribute for their contribution to the health and science, to improving the health and welfare of the people in Hamilton, also helping in the betterment of the world, and their love and support for the State of Israel. So if you could rise and help us welcome, and don't applaud until they've all been announced, Dr. Sandra Witelson, Fellow of the Royal Society of Canada, Dr. Gerstein, a world-renowned endocrinologist, and his wife Dora Fisher, and Dr. Mark Levine, oncologist and recipient of the Order of Canada, and his wife Hinda Levine. Thank you. Everybody take your seats, if you don't mind. We'll just do a quick introduction of the table of honor. Joining our honorees at the table of honor are Galit Baram, Consul General of Israel, and her husband Nissan Amdur, Economic Attaché, Government of Israel. Dr. Sharon Markowitz-Hart, JNF National Board Member, and past President. There's a lot more, hold up. And past president, and her husband, Dr. Lawrence Hart. Sharon and Lawrence were the 2002 Negev Dinner honorees. Lance Davis, Chief Executive Officer of JNF Canada. Chaim Goldstein, President of JNF Hamilton, and his wife Kim Goldstein. And of course, our Executive Director, Regional Ontario, who's pulled off a great evening tonight, Susie Polgar and her husband, Rick. Thank you, Susie. Lost my spot. Now, if I could call on Rabbi Yaakov Morel, he's going to lead us in the singing of Hatikva, and followed by the Canadian anthem. Please stand.
Nefesh Yehudi Homiya Ufatei Mizrach Kadima Ayin L'Tzion Tzofia אלפיים להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון ירושלים להיות עם חופשי בארצנו all thy sons come, and with glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God, keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Please welcome Rabbi Baskin, Rabbi Emeritus of Temple Anshe Shalom, for the invocation.
On her 69th birthday, Israel is an astonishing country, rich in accomplishments almost beyond belief. The original Jewish population of about 600,000 has grown to over 6 million. Her high standard of living is the understandable envy of many countries, as are her accomplishments in agriculture, commerce, science, as well as literature and the arts. This evening we pay homage to 3 outstanding musicians in our community. How fitting it is that we do so. A sage in the Talmud long ago said, "One should not live in a town without a doctor." How lucky we are to have such outstanding practitioners in our midst, seeking our well-being and our good health. O God, whose name is peace, grant unto the leaders of Israel and her Arab neighbors a renewed willingness to compromise and to share a devotion for the sanctity of life. Finally, may the future bring a greater degree of religious equality to Israeli women and to all branches of Judaism within the country, from liberal to traditional. Indeed, then shall the high ideals of justice and democracy shine forth. Let us hope quickly and in our time. Amen.
To say the motzi, or the blessing over bread before the meal, is a man who has been helping JNF raise funds for almost 50 years. Mr. JNF himself, Phil Rosensheen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Please welcome to the podium Chaim Goldstein, President of the Jewish National Fund of Hamilton.
Thank you,
On behalf of the board of JNF Hamilton, we would like to welcome everyone again and thank you for your support. We would also like to acknowledge and thank Liuna Station for hosting our dinner this evening, caterer PR Creative from Toronto for the delicious meal, and Charles Kravetsky, who is overseeing the laws of kashrut. As well, I must thank those without whom this evening would not be possible. I'm speaking of the numerous volunteers, those that made calls, solicited ticket sales and ads, those who raised funds for projects and sponsorships, envelope staffers, list makers, and so on. In addition, I would like to personally thank each of the JNF Hamilton staff, Claire Guido, Roberta Katz, Geraldine Katz-Rose, and Susie Polgar. As well, we must never forget our incredible volunteer, Israel Vukmir, who is so devoted to JNF and to us in the office, but unfortunately is not well enough to attend tonight. The Jewish National Fund of Hamilton had some great programming this year, including Israeli hero Noam Gershoni, who spoke about overcoming extreme adversity to become a Paralympic gold medalist. We held the Women Paint Night to raise funds for the Ethiopian Elders Center in Israel. In October, we held a huge citywide amazing race, scavenger hunt, where we drew in many young families. We collaborated with the Hamilton Jewish Federation on a program for Holocaust Remembrance Day, and in conjunction with the JNF Education Department, we did some Tu B'Shvat programming at some of the Jewish schools in town. We continue to do our best and to go from strength to strength. As you are enjoying your salad, I would like to take this opportunity to recognize our major donors and sponsors. Emerald sponsors: North Star Windows, Vienna Roofing. Sapphire sponsors: Alcor Elevators, Hamilton Health Sciences Research, McMaster Faculty of Health Sciences. Foundation projects: the Wise, Asa, and Howard families Governor Project, Binkley Investment Limited Sponsors Project, an anonymous JNF-supported Friend Project, Paratus Investors Corporation Limited Friend Project, Rochelle and Jerry Sway, Gerald A. Sway PC, Sway, Crony, and Boyd LLP Friend Project, and Cynic Investment Limited Friend Project. This wonderful, thank you. This wonderful success of this evening is all because of the generosity of our sponsors and those who committed to foundation projects. We shall continue with the program shortly. Beteavon, bon appetit.
Please welcome to the podium former president of JNF Hamilton and 1999 dinner honoree, David Loweth.
Good. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, the purpose of these Negev dinners is to pay tribute to people from a Hamilton community or people who are important to our community. Since the first dinner in 1953, we have been fortunate to recognize many worthy honorees over the past 65 dinners. We would like to acknowledge the presence of a number of them or their family members here tonight. If the audience could please hold their applause until I have read all the names. Rabbi Bernard Baskin, who was honored with his late wife, Marjorie. Rabbi Mordecai Green. Anna, Michael, and Pam Taylor, family of the late Samuel Taylor. Bailey, Gary, and Donna Waxman, family of the late Chester Waxman. Marnie Pakin. Bernie Katz. Marnie Beal, wife of the late Lincoln Alexander. Larry Pakin. Gerald Sway. Stan and Liz Tick. Judge David Steinberg. The late Arthur Wise, represented by his family. In 1998 and 2005, we paid tribute to the remaining survivors of the Holocaust. The Loeth family. Joseph Mancinelli, who was honored with his father, Enrico Mancinelli. Cuppy and Elaine Katz. Dr. Sharon Markovitz Hart and Lawrence Hart. Reverend Allison Barrett, wife of the late Peter George. Tom and Sasha Wise. Shalom Village. Hilton and Shirley Silberg. Phil Rosenshine, who was recognized with Ben Sauter, Dr. Kevin Smith, and last year's honoree, Ron Foxcroft. Tonight we are also honored to be supported by a number of dignitaries representing several constituencies in our community. Please stand as your names are called. For members of government, Bob Bettina, MP, Hamilton East, Stony Creek. David Sweet, MP, Flamborough, Glanbrook. Ted McMeekin, MPP, Ancaster, Dundas, Flamborough, Westdale. Philomena Tassi, MPP, Hamilton West, Ancaster, Dundas. Donna Skelly, Hamilton City Councillor. Ben Levitt, Hamilton West, Ancaster, Dundas, provincial PC riding candidate for the 2018 election. We also have members of the local clergy, Reverend Allison Barrett, Rabbi Bernard Baskin, Temple Ansher Sholem, Rabbi Daniel Green, Addis Israel, Rabbi Mordecai Green, Addis Israel, Rabbi Hillel Lavery Israeli, Beth Jacob Synagogue. We're also extremely honored to have with us this evening our three dinner co-chairs, Rob McIsaac, President and CEO, Hamilton Health Sciences, Dr. Paul O'Byrne, Dean and Vice President, Faculty Health Sciences, McMaster University, Dr. Kevin Smith, President and CEO, St. Joseph Health System, and CEO, Niagara Health System. As well, Yael Arnold, President of Shalom Village, Brother Frederick Dryden, Executive Director, Liberty for Youth, Barb Babby, President and CEO, Hamilton Jewish Federation, Cam Jackson, former Mayor of Burlington, Dr. John Kelton, Executive Director, Michael G. DeGroot, Initiative for Innovation in Healthcare, McMaster University Medical Center. We also will be hearing from Dr. Kelton later in the evening. Jeanette O'Leary, CEO, Shalom Village, and Jerry Solomon, Director of Special Project, Herzog Hospital in Jerusalem. We thank you all for your presence and your support. It gives me great pleasure now. I would like to welcome to the podium Galit Baram, Consul General of Israel to Toronto and Western Canada, to bring greetings from the State of Israel.
Hello, thank you. Good evening. It's good to be here. Erev Tov. It's freezing cold in here. I don't know, you don't feel that? Yeah. I can't get used to your Canadian weather. Before I came here, I was distinctly promised 4 seasons. 4 seasons. Where are these 4 seasons? It's a great opportunity to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me to represent the State of Israel in the Israeli Consulate in Toronto in this event. I'm finishing my first year here now. It's drawing to an end, my first year since my arrival. One of the first events, diplomatic events that I attended was held here in Hamilton, actually. It was a ceremony of sending Jacob's sheep to Israel. They made Aliyah. They're now happily in Israel, in their new homeland, with their two shepherds, with Jill and Gil and Jenna. And this is a great opportunity for us to bring them back home and to be part of it, to participate in this major operation. So it's definitely good to be here again. A few words about JNF. JNF Hamilton, JNF Canada. Thank you so much for your commitment, for your support of Israel and different initiatives in Israel. The activity of JNF is intertwined with the history of Israel and touches the life of every Israeli citizen. Land reclamation is one aspect, reforestation. Almost every Israeli, I would say every child who is born in Israel has trees planted in his or her honor around Israel. And I'm still looking for my tree in the Jerusalem forest, but I'm sure the tree is out there. But there are so many other initiatives in which JNF is involved, in agriculture, in water management, the real precious natural resource in the Middle East, more than oil, more than gas. JNF is also was involved greatly in the underground, in the building of the underground playground in Sderot during Operation Protective Edge. And by that, the JNF sent a very positive message to the people living in the periphery, showing them the strong connection between Israelis facing terrorism from Gaza and their brothers and sisters around the world in the diaspora. I was at the time director of the Department for Palestinian Affairs at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and I remember how important it was for them, for Israelis living near Gaza, to know that they are supported. And in the medical field, of course, there is the major achievement, this new project support of Herzog Hospital in Jerusalem. Israel is a miracle. Israel is indeed a miracle, but the return of the people of Israel to the land of Israel comes with a heavy price. And because we have to carry this very heavy burden, the Jewish people, we have to share and we have to join forces and we have to support this miracle, this little country in the Middle East, which has groundbreaking achievements when it comes to innovation, when it comes to development, when it comes to entrepreneurship, and also when it comes to humanitarian aid and tikkun olam and support around the world. Talking about the honorees, there are 3 honorees this evening: Dr. Herzl Gerstein, Dr. Mark Levine, and Dr. Sandra Witelson. And to you, I would like to say, on a personal note, first of all, to congratulate you. This is a festive event, and you deserve all the appreciation and the respect of this community for your major achievements. But I would like to speak from the bottom of my heart as a doctor's daughter. I'm a physician's daughter. And I know that for doctors, it's a mission, it's a calling. This is a very hard way of life. It takes a lot of dedication and devotion. I remember growing up in a house in which we didn't see our father. He was always busy. And the only times in which we played actually with our father, the physician, was when he returned home from the hospital, fell asleep on the carpet, and we jumped on his back. This is how we played with our father. You do remarkable things for mankind in your research, in your work, Indeed, it is a calling and a mission. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for your achievements. And thank you, family members, spouses, and children and their families for supporting these doctors in what they do. Because, you know, sometimes this part is neglected, but the support of the families is extremely important. One word, Rabbi Baskin. I heard very carefully what you said on your invocation. And I would like to stress that I took your words to heart. I listened with great attention, and I will forward this message to Jerusalem. Because I do believe that, you know, even in the most problematic families, the ongoing discussion must continue. We can bicker, we can quarrel, we can argue, and sometimes the discussion is very heated, and there is disappointment on both sides, and there is anger and frustration, but the dialogue must continue, Rabbi. And I promise that your message will reach Jerusalem. Hamilton community, I would like to thank you for Ahavat Israel, for the love of Israel, for your devotion, for your commitment, love of the state of Israel and the people of Israel, and for keeping the vital bond between Israel and the diaspora unbreakable. Thank you so much. Enjoy your evening.
Please welcome to the stage past president of JNF Canada and 2002 Negev Dinner honoree, Sharon Hart.
Kvod HaRabbanim, head table guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor for me to bring greetings tonight on behalf of the Jewish National Fund, Keren Kayemet L'Yisrael, an organization that for over 115 years has been redeeming our ancestral homeland from a mostly neglected, desolate land, a land of malarial swamps and barren rocks, to a land of green forests, green parks, green hiking and biking trails, and greenhouses for Israel's agricultural sector. The Jewish National Fund is a non-governmental organization at the United Nations, assisting with land reclamation, water conservation, and afforestation. Imagine a tree planted in Jerusalem will decrease the greenhouse gases here. Friends, we have not only made the desert bloom, we have become a world leader in water resource management. We have ensured, yes, thank you. We have ensured that water, that increasingly rare commodity in the Middle East, will be available to all through a vast network of water reservoirs, wastewater purification and reutilization, the application of nanotechnology and desalination, and river rehabilitation. The Jewish National Fund is at the cutting edge of advances in forestry and combating desertification. We actively seek solutions to pressing environmental issues through our international research cooperation, sharing our expertise with countries in Africa, Asia, and the Far East. We have partnered with scientists in China, Thailand, India, Turkey, Italy, Uganda, Brazil, and South Africa to eradicate the gull wasps that were destroying their vital eucalyptus groves by sharing the biologic pest control developed in Israel. We have partnered with the province of Manitoba to share our expertise in treating algal blooms that are threatening our lakes and rivers. We have partnered with scientists from arid countries through our research and development centers to determine which drought-resistant crops will grow in their environment so that they can feed their people. Tonight's dinner will help to establish the Children's Health Center at the Dr. Max and Gina Glassman PTSD and Health Center at Herzog Hospital in Jerusalem to create an environment where the most vulnerable, the Israeli children who have been traumatized by war and terrorism, can begin to heal and thrive. Tonight, the Jewish National Fund is partnering with our 3 honorees, Dr. Sandra Witelson, Dr. Mark Levine, and Dr. Herzl Gerstein, for honoring your landmark work, your cutting-edge developments, and your pioneering spirits to make a difference in people's lives. Dr. Witelson, Dr. Levine, and Dr. Gerstein, on behalf of the Jewish National Fund of Canada and our national president, Wendy Spatzner, Mazal Tov. And to our partners in Hamilton, thank you. Thank you for your continuing support. I am so proud of what we have accomplished together. Inspiring dreams, creating opportunities, and transforming communities in Israel and around the world. And now, would you please turn your attention to the screens for the JNF video.
For over 115 years, Keren Kayemet LiYisrael, Jewish National Fund, together with its partners around the world, has been working to create a sustainable future for people, the environment, and future generations. The driving force behind KKL JNF's activities is the question, what kind of a world are we leaving for our children? KKL JNF strives to create harmony between people and nature, building for today while preserving our natural treasures for future generations. The 240 million trees that KKL JNF has planted to date help improve air quality, enrich the earth, and prevent desertification. They provide shade, recreation, food and shelter for people and animals. Over 230 water reservoirs that KKL JNF built enable the recycling of 75% of Israel's water for agricultural use. Water research generates advanced technological solutions for improving the water economy in Israel and around the world. KKL JNF supports studies in desert planting methods, desert agriculture, and the biofilter in water-sensitive cities. KKL JNF involves the public in planning for open spaces. It creates community forests together with local residents and supports projects in ecotourism and eco-Zionism. It also holds tours and events in nature, many of them free and accessible to all. KKL JNF promotes sustainability around the world as well, sharing its professional know-how with countries of similar climates, arid and semi-arid. Every year, thousands of youths from Israel and around the world participate in KKL JNF's educational programs on ecology, Jewish identity, history and heritage. The diverse programs promote the values of Zionism, love of the land, and social and environmental activism, placing an emphasis on leadership for the future. The majority of Israel's population is crowded in urban cities in the centre of the country. The development of the peripheral areas is vital. The Negev in the south of Israel comprises about 60% of the country's entire area, and it's populated by only 8% of the population. KKL JNF is involved in various projects to develop the Negev, including the establishment and development of new communities, green neighbourhoods and urban parks, building and developing water resources, planting forests and paving roads for agriculture and security. In the north of Israel, KKL JNF works intensively in the Galilee to improve the residents' quality of life and promote coexistence. It establishes parks, restores historical sites and tourism centres, and invests in agricultural research and development. We thank you, friends, for your partnership in building Israel. Your ongoing support has made a powerful impact on people's lives. Here are just a few of the hundreds of transformative projects in which you are a partner. Thank you for securing Israel's tomorrow today.
Ladies and gentlemen, to introduce our first 2017 Negev Dinner honoree, please welcome to the podium Executive Director of the Michael G. DeGroote Initiative for Innovation in Healthcare, McMaster University Medical Center, Dr. John Kelton.
Thank you. Mr. Haim Goldstein, Dr. Sharon Markovitz-Hart, many distinguished visitors, guests, but I'd also like to especially acknowledge my colleagues here, Dean Paul O'Byrne, Dr. Kevin Smith, President of St. Joseph's Healthcare, Mr. Rob McIsaac, President of Hamilton Health Sciences. I'm honored to introduce three of McMaster's finest as this year's honorees. But first, I really have to acknowledge the vital partnership between McMaster Health Sciences, the DeGroote School of Medicine, and our hospital partners. Thanks, Rob, Kevin, David, and others. It is very much appreciated. You know, I've had the pleasure of attending a number of Negev dinners in the past and certainly enjoyed hearing and listening to the awardees. Tonight's different. First, there's three. How very Canadian. We can't make up our minds. But I understand why. All three are members of the Michael DeGroote School of Medicine, and all have contributed significantly to the health of our citizens, our friends, family, and neighbors. This evening, you will hear about a metabolic endocrinologist, a hematological oncologist, and finally, a cognitive psychologist. You thought they were doctors. Before I introduce the first honoree, let me talk about all three together. Ironically, they're better known on the international stage than here in Hamilton. But as both the Bible and the Torah says, no one is a prophet in their own land. Secondly, they have helped prop up a traditional Canadian industry by authoring over 1,000 publications, dozens of books and book chapters, work that has inspired and influenced other investigators around the world who then publish more. Yes, Canada's pulp and paper industry should be the biggest sponsor tonight. Let me introduce three magnificent, wonderful, wise scientists, distinguished colleagues. I can't go and say metabolic, endocrinologist. Why don't we just make it simple? Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. let's start where I've got a strong feeling people in this room would want me to start. Sex. Dr. Sandra Witelson. Sandra Witelson, a professor of psychiatry, behavioral neurosciences, was the inaugural Albert Einstein Irving Zucker Chair in Neurosciences in Health Sciences, McMaster University. Born, raised in Montreal, Sandra went to McGill, where she began her career in psychology with a particular focus on the neurological basis of behavior. There she met her husband, Henry Witelson, now deceased. Henry, a distinguished eye surgeon, as a boy, escaped the Warsaw Ghetto. After McGill, Sandra continued her studies at the New York University, where she was strongly influenced by the future Nobel laureate, Dr. Eric Kandel. Sandra and Henry returned to Canada, and Sandra took a job at McMaster University, where she became a remarkable career that continues today. Sandra initiated a series of studies linking the anatomy of the brain to cognitive ability. Initially, as happens, her work went almost unnoticed in Canada. It took a major research award from the United States Institute of Health to move Sandra to the top ranks of scientists. You gotta love it when US tax dollars come to Canada. Sandra began to better understand the anatomical and neurobiological basis of human brain. She documented dramatic brain differences between men and women, and was the first to note a neurobiological basis for sexual orientation. Sandra Witelson next began to study the brains from remarkable individuals, including some of the top mathematicians who had ever lived. Dr. Witelson was able to demonstrate why asymmetric growth in certain parts of the brain could lead to genius in one person and autism in the next. These studies provided an explanation for some of the significant differences in human intellect and human behavior. And best of all, Sandra Witelson was that very scientist who studied Albert Einstein's brain. I'm going to tell you my story. One day, Sandra invited me to her lab to see this most exalted artifact. I was very excited. We entered the lab, passing through multi-layers of security. She unlocked the cabinet and invited me to observe. There, within the formalin, was a small cube about 1 inch by 1 inch. Oh, I couldn't contain my surprise. Without pausing to think, I blurted, "Sandra, that's it?" Sandra looked at me, as she does, sympathetic, shook her head sadly, and said, "Typical man. Don't worry, size doesn't matter." She then explained that there were many other segments, but that tiny segment of Einstein's brain, anatomically defined as genius. Sandra, somewhere in your own brain, there's a similar structure. That place defines your genius, and that genius extends beyond your lab. Sandra's expertise, as you've heard, touches a wide variety of fascinating subjects, besides just possibly the greatest intellect in the history of humanity. Sandra brings these subjects to life with a speaking style that is as entertaining as it is informative. I always love hearing what Sandra's got to say. Please help me welcome Dr. Sandra Witelson, along with Dr. Sharon Markowitz-Hart and Dr. Haim Goldstein from the Jewish National Fund to present the citation.
Sandra, on behalf of the Jewish National Fund of Canada, the citation reads, "The community of Hamilton gathered at the Negev dinner on the 25th day of June, 2017, corresponding to the first day of Tammuz, 5777, to express its sentiments of deep admiration and gratitude and to pay tribute to Dr. Sandra Witelson for her support of the State of Israel, her demonstration of philanthropic leadership, integrity, diligence, accomplishments. The Jewish National Fund of Canada is pleased to support the Children's Clinic as evidence of respect and appreciation, thus linking your name in perpetuity with the land of Israel and its people."
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Do I?
We'll go to picture first. Chaim, picture first. With the plaque, okay.
Well, good evening, everybody. I first have to say I'm having a terrific time. So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Kelton, thank you for those fine remarks and for the 15 years of support as Dean, helping me. My daughter, Tamar Witelson, my friends, and my research colleagues who are just there, that table that is exuding all that energy. Table 18. I really was truly shocked when Tom Weiss phoned to tell me that I was selected as a Negev dinner honoree. So I thank you very much. It's been a wonderful prelude to this. It's really a pleasure to be honored in one's own local community and alongside such two distinguished physician, clinician scientists who are also my good friends. Honoring them and honoring us also recognizes McMaster University and the hospital, Hamilton Health Sciences, which are the institutions which provided the fertile environments in which we did flourish and do flourish. It is a privilege to have the opportunity to contribute to philanthropic support for projects in Israel. This year, as you heard, to the Children's Outpatient Clinic to look after PTSD in Jerusalem Herzog Hospital. This is also very meaningful to me at a personal level. Israel, in fact, the land pre the country of Israel, helped reduce PTSD in my late husband when he landed there as a child after traversing Europe on his own in war-torn Europe. And he became a Holocaust survivor until he wasn't. The list of distinguished honorees since 1953 includes community leaders, politicians, rabbis, doctors, lawyers. By including me in this distinguished list, the JNF committee acknowledges the importance of basic fundamental research that in the short term is not necessarily directed towards medical disease or societal issues. My mother used to carry newspaper clips about my research in her purse to show to anybody who would listen. But to me, she asked, what do these findings of the size of the brain's corpus callosum related to hand preference mean? How does it help? Perhaps you could do research on Alzheimer's disease. I explained, as Charlie Brown said, in the long run, basic research is some of the most practical. And to give you a little example, decades later, researchers from Ben Gurion University in the Negev published a report just a few months ago based on my 1985 corpus callosum findings that in people with PTSD, the corpus callosum showed reduced volume and reduced connectivity, a finding that could have diagnostic potential. As you can see, everything is really interrelated. An unexpected consequence of this honor has been, for me, forced me to think of my career. How did I get from there, to here? Given all the short and then the longer bios and then the historical photographs that the committee required from all of us for the tribute book. I think I was born an academic with genes from my dad, with a need to learn and theorize, and the adoring reinforcement by my parents and grandparents for whatever I did, even when I myself knew it was a very modest accomplishment, led to me to have unshakable confidence, probably more than warranted. As a result, I have never really been afraid to tackle any topic, even some of the ones that Dr. Kelton mentioned. Because when we published our first paper on sexual orientation and factors in the brain in 1991, it was not such a politically correct approach to be looking at. I loved school, and in a way I never left. There was high school, a PhD at McGill, a postdoctoral fellowship at NYU, and then I joined the faculty of a university where one is paid to teach what you know, to continue to learn, and to try to add to the body of knowledge in your field. And my good fortune was to have chosen neuroscience, a field that keeps on expanding. One is truly fortunate if you can be passionate about one's work, and the distinction between work and play blurs. So in a way, although people have thought that I have a very unbalanced life, it could be very balanced because I'm not sure when I'm playing and when I'm working. Research is a very exciting activity, and it provides wonderful high points. Sometimes we discover one thing when we're looking for something else. We chanced upon sex differences in the brain, in organization and structure several times. And although we never set out to study this issue, we did find these things. Sex sells. So the journalists called. And the newspapers were read by the man who eventually brought me the brain of Albert Einstein, which led to the publication of our report on his brain and the creation of the Albert Einstein Irving Zucker Endowed Chair in Neuroscience in the Faculty of Health Sciences, which will support a neuroscientist in perpetuity. An analysis of Professor Einstein's brain would never have materialized without the dedicated and expert collaboration of Deborah Kiger, who is here tonight, although she's retired. And so the story continues. I wouldn't be surprised as we speak, and who knows where it will lead. So thank you for attending, and thank you all for your wonderful, kind, and generous wishes. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Mazal tov, congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy your dinners.
Ladies and gentlemen, while you've enjoyed your meal, you've been listening to the sounds of Johannes Lindstedt and his band. Johannes is an internationally acclaimed guitarist, from being named Canada's Guitarist of the Year, to winning 7 Best Album Awards, 7 Top 10 US Billboard charting albums, to winning the People's Choice Award in the UK. Johannes Lindstedt is one of the best-selling guitarists in the instrumental, jazz, and world music genres. Johannes' songs have been used in some of the most popular TV shows, such as Californication, The Following, Burn Notice, Gene Simmons' Family Jewels, Pawn Stars, Person of Interest, and others. Johannes is an endorsed influential artist with Yamaha Guitars USA, the largest musical instrument manufacturer in the world. And in 2016, he signed an endorsement deal with the largest string manufacturer in the world. Appearing with Johannes is his amazing group of musicians, including Jordan Abraham on accordion, Jeff Hilbka on guitar, Jared Ross on bass, and Anastasios Bigas on drums. Everyone, please enjoy Johannes and his Guitar of Fire.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jordan, for proposing to me. That was kind of unexpected. Wow. Thank you so much. Don't be shy to get up and dance. You guys just had some food. You know, you got to work off some calories. There's lots of room here. Whenever you're ready, feel free to come up and do some dancing with us. Let's see. A little Guitarra del Fuego. Okay, we're feeling really happy up here, so we're going to play this next one, which we call the happy song. Felicidad.
accordion, please. Thank you.
Mango. Oh, thank you very much.
These are not on. You don't need them?
Please welcome to the podium past president of JNF Hamilton and past member of JNF Canada, Lorraine Cohen.
Thank you so much to Johannes and the Guitar of Fire and those amazing musicians. And we will welcome you back after we have a few more people speaking. I have been given the honor of offering a few words in memory of Frank Simkowitz. Frank and I worked together for many years through many of my volunteer roles, including president and dinner chair, among many things. He was a wonderful professional with whom to work. As many of you know, Frank was executive director of JNF's Ontario region from 2003 until the summer of 2016. Frank was passionate about Israel and the Jewish National Fund, reaching out and visiting the smaller communities throughout Ontario, from Kingston to Windsor, from Niagara Falls to Thunder Bay. ensuring that they maintained a strong relationship with the State of Israel. He worked tirelessly and seemingly effortlessly as he traveled around educating people about the work of the Jewish National Fund. Frank visited Jewish and non-Jewish communities, Rotarian clubs, and more, encouraging people to visit Israel and to see firsthand the wonderful work of JNF and how Israel is so different from how it is portrayed in the media. Frank took scores of people on missions to Israel with JNF and saw people fall in love with the country that he loved. Frank worked closely in partnership with the presidents and boards of his region. He was kind and fair to his staff, always assuring them that their lives and their families have priority. Frank was a consummate professional, a leader, mentor to many, a mensch to all, and a true friend to all who knew him. When my mother died 11 years ago, Frank was one of the first to contact me, and he came out to her memorial. He was a lovely person, a good friend, who is sadly missed. I invite you now to watch this short video.
On my left are Elaine and Franklin Simkovitz. Frank is the Executive Director of the Jewish National Fund for Regional Ontario, responsible for all the communities outside Toronto.
יש אהבות אשר נולדו רק ממבט. יש אהבות שבגללן הלב נצבט. הן אהבות שיש לכל אישה ואיש. מה שצריך אותן רק להרגיש. גם אם אבדה האמונה בלבבות, תדעו שיש עוד יש כאלה אהבות. אהבות שכאלה קרובות ורחוקות, אהבות שכאלה בוכות צוחקות ופורצות מן הלב המבקש את הלהט החום והאש. ולכן אין זה פלא שישנן אהבות שכאלה, שישנן אהבות שכאלה. יש אהבות שטעמן היא מנוחה. יש אהבות שכל כולן הן בשבילנו יום של חג. זה חג שבו נשתה את כלות הנשימה. זה חג לגוף וזה גם חג לנשמה. גם אם עבדו כאן התקוות, תדעו שיש עוד יש כאלה אהבות. אהבות שכאלה קרובות ורחוקות, אהבות שכאלה בוכות צוחקות ופורצות מן הלב המבקש את הלהט החום והאש.
JNF succeeded to catch
and release.
Yes. No, catch and take home.
Really?
Yeah.
So before you run away, what I want you to be able to do is when we first got here, you explained in general what this is all about and that this was only made possible because of KKL or JNF. So I would like you, if you don't mind, to do that again so that we can have that, because we'll use that to set up to explain to the audience why this is so important.
אז נרקום, יש אהבות שלא מרפות והן הולכות לכל מקום, והן רואות ומרגישות היטב כיצד השניים אז הופכים כאן לאחד, והתקוות שבלבבות שנית שוות.
For those of you who are attending your first Negev dinner, and indeed for everyone in this room, I hope you learned some new facts about the incredible state of Israel and the work being done by our organization, the Jewish National Fund. I sincerely hope you enjoyed the evening, that the food was good, and that you'll be back again next year. Please drive safely. Thanks again for helping us make this a wonderful evening. Good night.
שישנן אהבות שכאלה.
To introduce our second Negev dinner honoree, please welcome back to the podium Dr. John Kelton.
Thank you. Well, we started the evening with some good sex. Next up, drugs. Dr. Mark Levine was born and raised in Quebec. I'd like to say that he worked hard as a young man, but I won't. He wasted his youth on leisure, music, and sports. There's family here and certainly no drugs. Mark quickly became one of the finest junior tennis players, first in Quebec and then across Canada. His remarkable ability was only surpassed by his temper. He had a talent for smashing rackets. And Mark, you'll recall, after playing with you, I learned that besides tennis whites, a safety helmet was mandatory. Next, Mark became an avid skier. But fortunately, that's when he met Hinda, who settled him down and was always able to outski him. Mark went to McGill, where he completed his MD, then pursued further training in both hematology and oncology at Duke University, Carolina. Dr. Levine returned to Canada and McMaster University, specifically where he began a remarkable career in the treatments of patients with cancer, with a special focus on breast cancer. Dr. Mark Levine is considered simply one of the top breast cancer physicians in the world, and he's known for combining his basic science training with his skills in methodology and trial design. In the early part of his career, he devised new treatments which significantly extended the lives of women with this illness. That's where the drugs came in. But he set up a research consortium to investigate these new treatments. He quickly discovered there weren't enough patients in Hamilton. No problem for Mark Levine. Using a combination of charm and persuasion, he set up treatment groups first across Ontario, the first ever across Ontario, and then across Canada. But then something very important happened. The more Mark studied, cared for, and took care of women with breast cancer, he began to question the very basis of the treatment he was giving. He came up with an idea that was so obvious, once he expressed it, that many of us who work in a clinical setting immediately question, why had no one ever thought of this innovation before? Mark, it was like the Post-it note. So simple, so obvious, yet so revolutionary. Over 20 years ago, Mark began to ask what I believe are perhaps the most important questions, not just for breast cancer, but for the treatment of any patient. At that time, we physicians measured success by survival, a batting score. If the patient had a heartbeat, we counted it a success. Mark has changed his thinking. If the most aggressive breast cancer treatment extended that woman's life by a few weeks, but she had to spend months in the hospital, was this a benefit to this person? In other words, Mark was one of the first physicians to say it is not about the quantity of life, but it is the quality of life. That in turn led Mark, and now a growing legion of physicians, to change the paradigm of treatment. Mark broke new grounds by asking patients how they wanted to live. It was simply a revolutionary idea. Mark's contributions have not gone unnoticed. They've earned multiple national, international awards. Most recently, all of us were delighted to see him inducted into the Order of Canada. In Mark's eyes, that honor pales in comparison with his wonderful family, his curious love of dogs, and his entirely odd, Mark, dare I say, an appreciation that I would consider an unnatural appreciation for elderly sports cars, including his most prized Fiat Spider, older than his children. Mark and Hinda are particularly proud of their multiple family ties to Israel, including an uncle who helped establish the settlement town in the northern Negev. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Mark Levine, along with Dr. Sharon Markowitz-Hart, Dr. Haim Goldstein, or Mr. Haim Goldstein, to present the citation. Congratulations, Mark.
Whatever they say.
Whatever they say.
Thank you very much. Yes,
You're going to read it.
Oh, okay.
The citation reads, "The community of Hamilton gathered at the Negev dinner on the 25th day of June 2017, corresponding to the first day of Tammuz, 5777, to express its deep sentiments of admiration and gratitude, and to pay tribute to Dr. Mark Levine for his support of the State of Israel, his demonstration of philanthropic leadership, integrity, diligence, and accomplishments. The Jewish National Fund of Canada is pleased to support the Children's Clinic as its evidence and its respect and appreciation, thus linking your name in perpetuity with the land and the people of Israel."
Mazel tov. I'd like to set the record straight. Yes, I was a good tennis player, it's true. And I broke a lot of Dunlop Max Plies. Those were wood rackets in the day. But I never played tennis with Dr. Kelton. It was Dr. Hirsch and my wife and Dr. Hirsch's wife who had to wear helmets to protect themselves. John, those were very kind words. Thank you. Chairs, JNF executives, Dr. Kelton, co-honorees, colleagues from McMaster, Hamilton Health Sciences, and St. Joseph's Hospital, ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased and humbled to be recognized as one of this year's honorees. I would like to thank the selection committee for this award. The JNF was established in 1908 to buy and develop land in Ottoman Palestine. Since, as you've heard, since that time, the JNF has played a key role in the growth and development of Eretz Yisrael. Examples of important activities include land purchase, planting trees, building dams and reservoirs, and establishing parks. However, in the 21st century, the challenge Israel faces are many
complex, and extend well beyond land development. This year's project addresses an important need: post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, especially in young people. The proceeds from this year's JNF Hamilton Negev campaign will help to expand the Children's Outpatient Clinic in the Glassman PTSD and Health Center by building a clinical room for children and youth to access clinical services. Care is provided to those most in need, irrespective of whether Jew or Arab, male or female, religious or secular. Let me repeat that. Care is provided to those most in need, irrespective of whether Jew or Arab, male or female, religious or secular. I would like to recognize the Hamilton Jewish community, which has been our home for the past 36 years. Temple Anshe Shalom has played an important role in our family. Our children, Yanina and Ordam, attended Temple Religious School. They had their bat and bar mitzvahs there, and Hinda taught at the Temple School. Oren, who's here tonight, has blown the shofar at the high holidays since his bar mitzvah. I think it's been annually, and has the distinction of outblowing 3 rabbis in the Tikkiyah Gedola, and it wasn't even close. I suggested to one of the rabbis from the other congregations that we actually have a fundraiser around a shofar blowing contest, and we actually put wagers on and I would bet on my son. Rabbis Baskin, Zeppelwitz, and Cohn have participated in Levine life cycle events. Most recently, 4 weeks ago, with the Brit of Jacob Ephraim, our grandson, who is here tonight. I arrived in Hamilton in 1981 as a young medical oncologist and hematologist. I am greatly appreciative of the nurturing environment of McMaster University and the Regional Cancer Center, now Hamilton Health Sciences Juravinski Cancer Center. The mentorship by senior investigators, supportive colleagues, and the many opportunities I was given have helped me to pursue my passion and achieve success. Research is a team sport. It requires a critical mass of like-minded investigators, collaboration, and dedication. I am very fortunate to have been part of a fantastic team. I am a clinical researcher, and it would be remiss of me not to acknowledge the thousands of patients who have participated in my studies, the thousands of women women with breast cancer who have participated in those trials. I would like to conclude with a classic tale from the Talmud. I quote, "An old man in ancient Israel was planting a fig tree when a Roman general happened to pass by. The general says to the man, 'Do you realize it will take 20 years before the trees will grow enough to bear fruit, and you will be long dead by then?' The old man responded, 'When I was a small child, I could eat fruit because those who came before me had planted trees. Am I not obliged to do the same for the next generation?'" This story focuses on the importance of taking care of the world for the next generation. We are able to thrive and succeed in large part because of those who came before us, our parents, families, teachers, and our communities. Individually, we have a responsibility to make the world a better place. Tikkun Olam. Supporting projects like the Glassman PTSD Center will make the world a better place now and for future generations. Thank you for the honor.
Thank you, Dr. Levine, and Mazel Tov. Now, would you please pay attention to your screen for the following video?
The Herzog Hospital was originally established 120 years ago as the very first psychiatric hospital in the Middle East. And throughout its 120 years, its focus has been primarily on psychiatry for all ages.
We have lately got a number of children who got attention deficit disorder, learning disabilities, fears, but we have also some more severe pathologies, children who have gone through abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, and children who suffer from diseases like schizophrenia, manic depressive disorders, that's about the whole spectrum of the pathology.
We do clinical work with adults and children who are coming for therapy. And a traumatic memory is not like a normal memory. A traumatic memory is, in a way, an experience. It's not a memory. It really takes over. It feels as if it happens now. And that is when you see the damage taking over whole lives. And one of the possible damages is post-traumatic stress disorder, meaning people who continue to think about this even if they don't want to, people who continue to be afraid of things happening again. The therapies that we are doing are evidence-based therapies that we know can help people get through this. And of course, the most important help is personal connection.
The problem with the current building is particularly that it is as it looks. It's an apartment building. It's not really constructed for people to come in, to sit in comfortable waiting areas. At least 2 rooms in each floor are really not the size that are appropriate for a clinical intervention, particularly because in this type of work we very often sit with not just the patient, their parents or children or spouse. It's neither custom made to the type of work that we do, and particularly in the 21st century, it's not built to be suited so that anybody can come, whatever disability they have.
When we move to a new location, it's vital. This is not a luxury. This is something that will enable us to give the care that these people are entitled to. We realize that this is not a typical JNF project, but the JNF is invested and is investing in the future of Israel. Landscaping, whether it's of the terrain or maybe of the mind, is a very important part. We need to make sure that the Israeli population today and for the foreseeable future has the tools necessary to do the job. And by using the work of the JNF in all its forms and in the broadest terms, you are helping us fulfill that mission.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jerry Solomon, Director of Special Projects at Herzog Hospital in Jerusalem.
Honored dinner co-chairpersons and esteemed honorees and dear friends, I am both pleased and honored to be here this evening representing Herzog Hospital. Our esteemed honorees selected a project that, with your tremendous support, will assist us in having a positive impact on the mental health and well-being of all of the children residing in Jerusalem and all of Israel, regardless of their ethnicity and regardless of their religion. The work we do at the Children's Clinic is recognized worldwide, and we share and teach our treatments globally. I extend an invitation to all of you to come and visit us on your next trip to Israel. Thank you on behalf of Herzog Hospital, the children of Jerusalem, Israel, and the world.
To introduce our final Negev Dinner honoree, once again, Dr. John Kelton.
Herzl. Our third candidate today is Dr. Herzl Gerstein. I'm going to call him Dr. Rock and Roll. Sadly, you're going to quickly learn this is a real stretch. Now, when I was writing this 2 weeks ago, it really came together lovely. And then when I'm reading it earlier this afternoon, I thought, whoa, this is pretty weak, but too late. Herzl Gerstein, born and raised in Toronto, graduated from medical school, met and married his charming wife, Dora. Fortunately for us in this room, and fortunately for Canadians, Dr. Gerstein answered the siren call of Steeltown. He came to McMaster and the DeGroote School of Medicine, working in Hamilton Health Sciences. Dr. Herzl Gerstein, a diabetes clinician, but just like the other clinician scientists we've met this evening, Herzl was not content to simply provide care. He wanted to change care. His specialty is endocrinology. Herzl quickly became focused on diabetes, an illness that affects at least 10% of our population. Dr. Gerstein quickly moved from studying glucose regulation and insulin control in the individual to analyzing how it affected large groups, communities, and populations. In fact, Herzl, to my knowledge, was the first clinician in the world to appreciate that blood sugar represented a continuous variable for a person's overall health. In other words, like high blood pressure, cigarette smoking, there is no single cutoff of a glucose level separating health from illness. Instead, Herzl demonstrated through series of studies that with each rise in blood sugar, the individual accumulated more and more damage to the cardiovascular, the renal, the neurological systems in the body. Herzl's revelation was called dysglycemia, a term he coined. It's now part of the lexicon of all physicians. Dr. Gerstein, like our other two Negev winners at McMaster University, is a strong advocate for patients. It was over 20 years ago that Herzl started Diabetes Hamilton, a community resource designed to provide people in Hamilton and the neighboring communities with thoughtful, but most importantly, accurate evidence-based information concerning their illness and how best to provide care for themselves. Herzl has earned many well-deserved honors before today's, including the Jack Hirsch Outstanding Academic Achievement Award presented by Dean Paul O'Byrne several years ago, and the Canadian Diabetes Association Lifetime Achievement Award. Okay, where does the rock and roll fit in? Well, it turns out it does, sort of. Dr. Gerstein and his charming wife, Dora, love music, pretty frail, but Herzl himself is a part-time showman, music writer, and has produced a YouTube video on diabetes treatment and care, written, produced, and sung by Herzl. Lyrics by Herzl, performance by Herzl. Herzl, I've enjoyed watching this video a few times. In fact, I watched it yesterday. As a friend, as an appreciative colleague, keep your day job. Herzl has another quirk that gives you a sense of what a ball of wit he is. It befuddled me. I and my wife have a hobby. We love seeing vanity plates that are cryptic messages. I can figure out anyone. Herzl's completely stumped us. C6H1206. Okay, Herzl, it's bewildered many a confused tailgater over the years, C6H1206, but for all of those metabolic endocrinologists in the audience right now, shout it out. Oh, I'm sorry, there are none. Herzl's license plate is the chemical formula for glucose. When Herzl told me this, he followed it up by saying he's named his car Sugar. As he was explaining this to me, he could hardly get it out for the laughter. As I said, Herzl, stay with the day job. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Herzl Gerstein, along with Dr. Sharon Markowitz-Hart, Haim Goldstein, to present the citation.
Okay, right, I stand.
Oh, you're going to want to take a picture of it, right? And the citation reads, "The community of Hamilton gathered at the Negev dinner on the 25th day of June, 2017, corresponding to the first day of Tammuz, 5777, to express its sentiments of deep admiration and gratitude and to pay tribute to Dr. Herzl Gerstein for his support of the State of Israel, his demonstration of philanthropic leadership, integrity, diligence, and accomplishments. The Jewish National Fund of Canada is pleased to support the Children's Clinic as evidence of its respect and appreciation, thus linking your name in perpetuity with the land of Israel and its people."
Congratulations.
Well, thank you all very much. And John, I should just correct that. I am not the only one singing on that video. It is the whole diabetes clinic that is on that video. I just have the middle part, which is not even singing, it's rapping. So, just so people know, okay? So as my esteemed colleagues were giving their presentation, I had this panic moment that I really need to rewrite everything that I was going to say, because, but when I hear that introduction, I think maybe the appropriate thing is to spend a little bit of time just telling you a little bit about myself and about my own perceptions of who I am. Like everyone here, I have not one, but many identities in the constant challenge of deciding which one is airborne, which one is on the surface, and which one is underground at any time. Tonight, I'm a proud member of this community and deeply honored to be here with my fellow honorees, Mark Levine and Sandra Witelson, to be with Dr. Kelton, Dr. Byrne, Mr. McIsaac, and Dr. Smith from the university and the hospital, and with all of you. I'm a scientist who has the privilege of working closely with colleagues, with governments, and with corporations from Ontario, from Canada, and indeed from the whole world to reduce and hopefully eliminate the burden that is diabetes. I'm a doctor who gets to spend time with patients and sometimes is able to reduce suffering from diabetes and various hormonal diseases. And I'm a teacher who gets to support young people as they blossom into scientists and researchers and doctors. Some of you also know, and John has already told you, that I'm an amateur songwriter, not a performer, an amateur songwriter, and an ardent fan of musical theater. On a more personal level, I'm the son of my father, Ralph, who came to Canada after being liberated from Bergen-Belsen as a witness to and a victim of the Holocaust. And my mother, Toby Erst, who grew up penniless during the Depression in Toronto. I'm also the proud father of two wonderful, bright young adults, Shira, a government scientist in Regina, and Aaron, a teacher who is now studying physiotherapy in Melbourne, Australia. And I'm the really fortunate partner and husband of Dora Fisher, who has worked tirelessly as a fundraiser and advocate for disadvantaged women and children in Israel through Na'amat Hamilton and now Na'amat Toronto. As a Jewish boy growing up in Toronto in the 1960s, Israel was always somewhere in my consciousness in ways that varied from the unobtrusive JNF box in the kitchen, the synagogue bond appeals, and the many day school, newspaper, and dinner conversations. I first visited Israel as a tourist after high school and have since traveled there several times with my family and also as a scientist and a professor. This past winter, I accepted a long-standing invitation from my former Israeli research fellow, who did her graduate work with me at McMaster, to spend 6 weeks in Israel as a visiting professor at the University of Tel Aviv and at the Sheba Hospital in Tel Ashomer. While lecturing, leading research seminars, mentoring young faculty, collaborating with diabetes researchers, and consulting with representatives of the Israeli Center for Disease Control and the Kupat Cholim, the healthcare system, the thirst for knowledge, concern for optimizing health of everybody, and the pursuit of excellence were all readily apparent. Indeed, I was struck by how familiar everything was and how similar the attitudes, aspirations, and professional anxieties there are there to those that I see here in Canada every day. Without doubt, the warm welcome and hospitality that Dora and I experienced while we were there, the insights that we gained while living in Tel Aviv, and the opportunities to extend and strengthen academic collaborations has left a durable and profound mark on both of us. This experience also reinforced and highlighted what I've always enjoyed the most. It is the experience and the fun of interacting with people from all walks of life, both in Canada and throughout the world in the context of my various roles. Such interactions are a never-ending source of new ideas, perspectives, and solutions, and some are a source of inspiration and hope for the future. And I'm going to end with an example of what I mean by that last comment of hope for the future. In my role as a clinical scientist, I have had the fortune and opportunity to design and lead several large international diabetes trials that entailed the participation of many thousands of patients and hundreds of researchers from up to 40 different countries, and each trial lasting several years in time. These trials can only be successfully conducted if everybody involved works together in a collaborative, cooperative, and constructive fashion. Of course, they are able to do this, but even after 20 years, I am still struck. Every time I do this, I am struck by the image of what I see when I stand from a podium like this and look out at the audience or at the researchers sitting in the room listening to me. Here they all are, working together as friends. People from all over the world, people whose grandparents, and in some cases whose parents, would have been at war with each other, would have fought with each other, would have enslaved each other, but people who are today effectively and happily working together to solve a medical and a scientific problem that affects everybody all over the world. That is an image that is worth remembering, and the one that I want to share with you tonight. It is one that helps me get up and go to work every day, and it is one that convinces me that it is all worthwhile. Thank you very much once again for this honor.
Joining our three 2017 Negev Dinner honorees on stage are our Negev Dinner co-chairs, Mr. Rob McIsaac, Dr. Paul O'Byrne, and Dr. Kevin Smith, along with Dr. John Kelton, Sharon Hart, Chaim Goldstein, Lance Davis, and JNF Executive Director Susie Polgar.
So ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the formal part of our evening. Congratulations again on behalf of the JNF and the Hamilton Board to our honorees. Thank you to everyone for an outstanding evening. On your way out, we don't want you to leave too soon, but on your way out, please pick up a blue box on your way. Take it home, fill it up, and give us a call, and we'll be happy to come and pick it up. So on behalf of the Jewish National Fund, thank you again for all your support. And please remain here. Our band has agreed to play some more music for us. Enjoy the music, dance if you wish, and have a safe drive home.
I say we do have I say we just do it, man. They're going to go home if you don't, and then do the rest. Trust me.
We're going to do an old favorite now, featuring our lovely accordion player, Mr. Jordan Abraham. on, everybody, we need more dancers. Don't be shy, burn off some calories. Stick around a little while. Bailamos! Where's the boss? We got time for one more? You're the boss? Okay, one more for the boss. Oh, there's only a few of you that stuck around. You guys are the real party animals. Woohoo! Okay, we're gonna do some audience participation now. On 3, can I get you guys to shout out a big Olé? On 3, you ready? 1, 2, 3. Fantastico. And how about a big Opa? On 3, you ready? 1, 2, 3. You guys are amazing. Okay, how about a big L'chaim? On 3, you ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, and this is the last one. Go crazy with us and do this. Really loud and don't stop. On 3, okay? You ready? 1, 2, 3. Louder! Keep it going!